One of the main things that differentiates a high-level player from a low-level player is the amount of micro-comms they make. A high-level player will make a lot of micro-comms throughout the round so that their teammates don't get confused. So for example, let's say I'm on CT side nuke and I want to start towards lower at the beginning of the round. If I'm running towards lower and then coming towards double door, as soon as I open this door and close it, I'm going to be saying my door, because if the T's throw a lurk smoke vent and my teammates on A site hear a door open, they might think it was the T player opening the door towards single. So if I just communicate that it was me that opened the door, they don't have to think about it and they can just focus on themselves. Now let's say I'm still on lower and I just smoked off this position. If I wanted to go for some spam through the smoke, I would make sure to tell my teammates that I'm just spamming. Because if they just hear some random shooting, they're not going to know that I'm not seeing anybody and they might hesitate on their bomb site. If someone was playing close to Tetris and they heard me shooting towards lower, they might start moving towards the vent to rotate to help me, but there was actually no one lower and maybe the T's were all setting up towards door and I just got this person killed. Obviously this is a mistake on his part as well, but we can just make sure that never happens by just calming. On T side, when you're done defaulting and then going into an exec on a bomb site, make sure you're communicating what nades you have and what you can throw. It makes the exec 1,000 times easier if you just say what nades you have and what you can throw, because if we make a call to go back towards B and I have a smoke, I'll just say, hey, I have a smoke and I'll smoke left side. And then no one has to worry about it anymore. No one has to worry about throwing a smoke. We have that down and everyone can just focus on their mollies. But if everyone's quiet and then someone has to ask, hey, who has left side? And then everyone says, hey, I can throw it. It just makes everything more messy and it's a lot more clean if someone just says, I have the smoke. So then everyone else can focus on what they have to do. It's also important that if you have no nades, you say that as well, because someone has to be the entry and it's usually the person with no nades because everyone else obviously has to be throwing nades. So if you have no nades, make sure that when you're going into the exec, you say, hey, I have no nades, I'll be the entry. So then everyone knows they can follow you out. The next thing I wanted to talk about kind of plays into this position as well, but it's just about making sure someone's anti-flash in common positions. There's so many times where I'll see people walk into B main like this and there's like 4 people here and everyone is just sitting here staring straight at B main. But one of the most common things CT players will do is throw a flash into B main like this. And if we're all standing here just staring straight forward, obviously we're all going to eat the flash and we're just going to lose the round instantly. So always make sure at least 1 or 2 people are playing anti-flash. The 2 or 3 people in the front can be holding for any sort of dry swing, and then someone in the back can play anti-flash. It's important when you're the anti-flash player, you're not playing wider than any of the people who are staring at the angle. So if the teammates holding the B main angle are holding from right here, you don't want to be playing anti-flash right here, obviously, because you're exposed to the angle. Now it would be fine if you're playing anti-flash here, but honestly it's not preferable, because even if you're anti-flash here and the flash pops, you have to swing into the angle, and the CTs are going to be looking right there anyway, so it's not really advantageous to you. So for example, the best spot to play anti-flash here would be towards this side of the wall, staring like this, so that as soon as the flash pops, you can just turn right away and then kill any of the CTs trying to run in. Before we get into the next tip, let's hear a quick word from today's sponsor, SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is an automated trading site that allows you to take some of your old skins and trade them in for some new ones. There are a ton of skins on the site, but if you're looking for something specific, you can use the filter to find the skin that you're looking for. And when you're making your first trade on the site, make sure to use my code GRAPE for a bonus of up to $5 for free. If you see a skin on the site that you want and you don't have one of equal value, you can also deposit money with a 30% bonus plus an extra 5% if you use my code GRAPE at checkout. And even if you don't have anything to trade, they do free giveaways every single day, so there's literally nothing to lose by joining SkinsMonkey. So just make sure to use the link in my description and have fun trading. When you're going into a retake on CT side, you need to make sure that you're communicating with your team what nades you have. So for example, if I'm the B player and I'm rotating over after our team lost the A bomb site, I'm going to be telling my teammates what nades I have as I'm rotating over so that we can come up with a plan before we even start the retake. If you start coming up with a plan too late, it's going to be messy and it's just going to take too long or just not be a good plan. But if as I'm rotating, I have a molly and a flash, for example, and I say, hey guys, I have a molly and a flash for the retake, and my connector player towards top con says, hey, I have a smoke and a molly, I can then communicate that I'll use my molly for firebox, he can use his molly for default or under balk, and then his smoke can be saved for palace. But if we don't calm what nades we have and then come up with the plan, we're either going to end up not using them or using them and not communicating that we are, and then people aren't going to know what's clear or what's covered. Another reason to call what nades you have rotating is if your teammate on A is playing towards CT after they take the bomb site. If I tell my teammate I have a flash, I could also call that I can flash behind him if the T's are trying to push towards CT. So overall, it's really important to communicate what nades you have on the retake. And also another pro tip is if you are dead in the retake and spectating, you can see everybody and see all the nades that everybody has. So if your teammates are focusing on defending their position or focusing on their crosshair, you can be in spectate, see what nades your teammates have, and communicate that to everybody. And if there's a limited number of kits, you can also see who has the kit and then communicate that so there's no hesitation on who's going to defuse. And that is really super important because I know you guys have played a lot of rounds where the defuse comes down to just a couple of seconds. And if there is any hesitation on who has the kit and you were dead and spectating and could have said, then that might be on you. So if you end up dying, don't just sit there on your phone, on TikTok or whatever. Make sure that you're still actively in the round and helping out your team, because it could really make the difference. When you're playing the post plant on T side, you need to be making sure you're calming with your teammates who's going to be peeking on the tap first. And this is especially true if you're in a 1v2 or 2v2 scenario. So for example, if the CT's tapped the bomb right now and I'm towards ramp and my teammate is towards palace, we're either going to be calming that we're peeking together at the same time to fight, or one of us is jiggling for info to see if they're defusing, not both of us. That way we're limiting the amount of risk we're taking, and we're just going to have a higher chance of winning the round because only one person is getting the info and one person is playing to live. And usually it's better to have the person that was already found out or is known in a position to peek first. So if I already killed someone from ramp and then I'm playing back towards ramp with the bomb planted, on the bomb tap I can be the person to jiggle out and get info, because if my teammate's palace and was never seen, we don't really want to give up the information of both of us if he ends up getting spotted. But if you're the person peeking, just make sure you're not fighting too hard unless you guys are planning to fight together. So for example, if the bomb was tapped, I could fight harder and try and kill them while they're defusing or off the bomb, as long as my palace teammate is ready to swing off of my contact and get the trade if I die. I've just seen so many scenarios in my demo reviews where people are in a 2v1 situation or 2v2 situation, and then as soon as the bomb is tapped, everyone will just swing to fight, even though the CT could be tapping it and then playing in ways to isolate 1v1s. So just make sure you're not making that mistake and communicate with your team.